This is the February 2022 Plan With Me, and our flower of the world this month is Lotus. Join me for a Dutch door cover, a new weekly layout, and lots more. What's up, friends? Welcome back. My name is Shayda Campbell. Welcome to my 2022 bullet journal. It's an Archer and Olive notebook, and she's super pretty this year. If you follow me on Instagram, you've probably heard me talk at length about how much I love bullet journaling. It's this very meditative and relaxing hobby, just doing all the doodling, but then you have the added benefit of staying super organized and motivated. So I encourage you to set up your own journal for the year 2022. My theme this year, and I hope you'll follow along, is Flowers of the World. In January, we did Protea, and for February, we're doing Lotus. It was highly requested, so keep those requests coming. I'm making a list. I'm filming this pretty early in January, so you can see this is the week we're in. I haven't even done my pretty little doodle. I'm going to skip over, leave some extra pages, and I'm just going to get started on my Lotus-themed February setup. First is our cover page. If you've been here a minute, you know I love a Dutch door. I'm going to do something just a little different this month. I've marked my center, and then I'm going to place my calendar right down there at the bottom. And then I am drawing two lotuses right up here at the top of the page. I say this all the time. If you're doing an illustration, start with a guide. Don't just jump in and start trying to draw flowers or whatever. Just mark a circle. How big do you want the lotuses to be? Then we're doing an oval underneath to mark the lily pad. And we're even gonna block out a tiny, cute little goldfish there. I'm getting out of my comfort zone. I'm blocking him out as a guide as well, kind of a round body with a little tail. And then I add two ovals for the fins at the back, kind of a triangle on the side and another little triangle up top for his other fins. From there, I can make those shapes a lot more appealing and a lot more realistic. Not that this is realistic, but you know what I mean. And I can sketch and play around once I've got the size and shapes right. He's gonna have two little eyes on the sides of his head and a mouth. Again, I'm putting the calendar down right at the bottom center, and the only part of this that's going to be a Dutch door is a little cutaway right at the top. Okay, let's draw this lotus together. I'm continuing the guide by placing some curving lines on my circle, and then I just start filling in with those petals. We're gonna do a bunch of these, so don't worry if I'm going fast. I just don't want this video to be like 2 hours long. Here, let's do another one. Start with your guide, and then do the first row of petals, then the next row. You kind of do some little petals peeking out at the back at the top, and then you can place some more petals falling away from the circular form. Add some detail to the lily pads, and you're all done your first lotus. Let's try it again together. I always get rid of all my messy, sketchy lines. So just that first row of petals, you've got the petals peeking out at the top, then kind of a second layer of petals in there, and maybe some larger ones at the bottom and sides falling away. And all of that is on top of the little oval-shaped lily pad. Now this is going to be a colorful cover, so I have a whole mix of markers. I know it's annoying. I use different colors and different brands, but I basically want you to grab a light orange and a dark orange, a minty green, and then one other color of green. It could be a dark green or a warmer green. It doesn't matter. So 2 oranges, 2 greens. We're going to use like a mustardy or dark yellow, either a light pink or a light brown. I'm not going to use both, so one or the other, or even a light gray. That's just to do some shading. And then you'll also want a bit of blue. Okay, so that is the general color palette. Let's grab that minty light green and start with those lily pads. That's the first thing I'm gonna do, and I'm just gonna color those in. I'm a big proponent in always changing things up. Like, you don't have to color your leaves green, make them blue, make them brown. But for this one, I think because I already added the fish and I was like way out of my depth, I was like, I'm just gonna keep it all kind of true to life. So we're doing green lily pads, an orange fish, blue water, etc. But I do encourage you to get creative. We're going to take that second color of green, the darker one, and just add some lines and shading on the lily pad. A little bit of shading just underneath the lotus looks really nice. And then we'll start on our goldfish. Use the lighter orange to draw some lines on the fins. And then we'll take the darker orange and we'll fill in the body of our little guy. From there, we're going to use either the brown, gray, or pink and just do a little bit of shading on the lotus. You're going to shade one petal at a time, adding some lines at the base of the petal or where the petal meets another. So anywhere that the light just wouldn't hit as easily, give it a little bit of shadow, and that will make your white flower look even more white. I know you're adding brown, but it's going to make it really pop off the page. Finally, we'll take our blue brush pen and we're going to add the water. Now, you want to go light. Just like with the white flower, you can definitely add too much brown or too much blue. So just do some general lines and it's going to make the whole page look like this glistening pond. From there, grab a fine liner. I'm using the 07 Mulatto Black liner, so it's a nice, thick, weighty, chunky line. And I'm using that to go over my calendar, well, the top part of my calendar, and then I'm going to add my sketchy black line to my entire illustration. So this is also really going to help your lotus to pop off the page. Go around every petal as well as the lily pads. You can add some small shading lines, and I think that is going to make that white flower really sing. The only thing I'm not going to go over is the blue of the water. So everything else is getting an outline. The fish has this round body, again with the little tail. He's got two fins here, a top fin and a side fin, and then the other two fins at the back. Make his little round eyes kind of pop with an eyelash or two. And then we'll use a smaller fine liner to go over the numbers on the calendar and to add some scales to our little fishy. And that's our cover page pretty much all done. Let's get rid of all of those pencil marks that might be left over. You might want to add just a little more shading to the lotus at this point. And then I think we're ready to cut out our Dutch door. It's pretty simple. This month I'm going to cut kind of across the top of the page, and then I'll just have my month title peeking out from behind. If you're creating a Dutch door along with me, place a cutting mat under that page only. Use a small paper knife and you can draw yourself a curving line across the top of those two lotuses, or you can just freehand it with your knife, or even a small pair of embroidery scissors can work, although they can be a little annoying, I find. I sometimes have to go over it 2 or 3 times. This is going to make it look way less tedious than it is, but eventually you will get that paper cut and it's gonna look so cute. I always like to do a Dutch door cover because it looks pretty. And actually a few people mentioned that my yearly setup had like the quality of a pop-up book, and I love that. That makes it so fun. So don't be afraid to cut things out in your journal. I also like the ability that I have now to tuck away a few things. Even though I'm the only one using this journal, I like that my goals and affirmations, kind of those personal elements for the month, are tucked away below the more functional and public, I guess, calendar page. So as usual, I'm placing my goals and affirmations. I write goals and focus, and those are just on this page below the Dutch door. I'm adding one more lotus here, again using a guide to help me draw the flower. Sometimes I add too many petals and it gets away from me. That may or may not have happened here, but that's okay. Your journal is a place to practice and try new things. It does not have to look perfect. This lotus is far from perfect, but it doesn't look too bad either. I'm going to color her in as well. This is a pretty simple goals and affirmations page, and I'm okay with that. For this lotus, I chose to use the pink on the petals and then still shaded with brown, and I thought that kind of looked pretty, so if you do have those colors available. And that is our Dutch Door cover page for February with the calendar on the top and then the goals and affirmations down on the page below. Let's flip that one over and keep on moving, because next up we're doing a calendar page. For this one, I want to do a 2-page spread, and I'm just going to put an illustration on the left with the calendar on the right. So I marked out a little rectangle there, and then I'm collecting myself a little color palette kind of based on my goldfish. So I'm using the complementary or contrasting colors of orange and blue. So I've got a couple orange and blue colors here along with a sand and pink. And then I am going to begin drawing some different floral shapes. The usual, you know, if you've been here for a minute, you know the drill. We're drawing flowers. I already drew a fish, okay? What more do you want from me? I am drawing some large and small orange flowers, and then I'm gonna come in, I think I'll do some like brown lily pads along with lots and lots of blue leaves, almost as if the leaves represent water, if this were the lily pond or the lotus floating on the muddy, murky surface of the water. Good news for those of you that consider yourself not good at drawing. I don't believe you, but I have good news. This illustration is really hard to mess up. All you have to do is sketch out that pencil rectangle and then fill it in with anything even halfway resembling a floral shape, like a leaf, and it's gonna look so cute. I'm gonna put just like a really simple little quote down below, and then that is the left-hand side of my very simple calendar layout. Now on the right, all I need to do is put like a basic calendar, but the whole spread will work because I have this really pretty illustration on the left. So I'm just doing a 3x4 calendar grid here, marking it quickly out in pencil, putting February across the top, and then you know I'm allergic to rulers, so we're just going to use one of our fine liners and pull that pen towards my body. That helps me keep the line fairly straight, not too straight, just fairly straight. And that's it. That's my little February calendar spread all done. I really like this blue and orange a lot more than I thought I would. I think that dark orange just looks so grown up with the baby blue. That's the calendar spread done. I can't wait to hear what your requests are for next month. Flowers of the World is the theme. We've done Protea and Lotus. What flower should be next, and where is it from? Continuing with our Lotus theme, our next little spread is going to have some watercolor in it. I have this cute little watercolor set from Archer and Olive, and I actually did a whole video with 5 ideas for fun ways to incorporate painting into your bullet journal. So definitely check that out if you're looking for some new spread ideas. But what I'm gonna do today is use this pretty blue color to add some water to my journal, and then I just quickly sketched a lotus on top once the blue had dried. This, just like I did with the brush pen, gives that beautiful look of water or the whole page being the surface of the pond. And then I'm using a blue pen, of course, to go over the lotus and kind of just doing this really easy and achievable self-care spread. So I have the surface of the water as my journal page, and then within those reflections and ripples, I am placing some ideas for things that I can do this month to make sure that I'm taking care of myself, just taking more baths and making to go to the gym at least once a week, that kind of thing. Basically at the gym, I just go in the sauna, but it's good. It's really good. Okay, that is all done. I want to do one last spread together, and that of course is our weekly spread or weekly layout. Now for this one, I am dividing the top and bottom of the page. So I'm kind of blocking off a square on the bottom 2/3 of the page, and then I will divide that square into 3 rectangles. I think if you're using an Archer and Olive notebook, the A5 like I am, these are about 7 grid squares each, and you can make them as tall as you like. So just block out those 6 sort of days of the week. I always do Monday through Friday and then 1 rectangle for the weekend. I don't do a lot of planning or to-do list making on the weekends, so one section tends to work well for me. Then I'm going to place my little calendar up in the top corner here. This is just a nice basic weekly layout that's going to leave me lots of space to do a pretty Lotus illustration. And just like with my calendar, I'm going over my initial sketch with a fine liner. I just pull the fine liner towards my body, helps me keep it steady so that I don't need to use a ruler, but you're certainly welcome to. I'm going to place my days of the week in the top of each box, go over my calendar, and then I can kind of just erase all my pencil markings, clean that up, and I have this really simple layout that is all primed and ready for a little illustration. I'm going to do some Lotus doodles. So grab a light color like a pink, and we're going to start the Lotus with those 3 petals at the front, then some petals poking out at the top of the circle, leave a space in the middle, and again, a couple petals falling away from the sides or even from the front. So same idea, but we're just sort of doodling. And of course you can do some buds, just some kind of loose circles. Try to make them all different sizes, place them in different areas on different sort of angles, and yeah, just keep it messy and free. You can come in with that dark yellow that we used earlier and just kind of place a little stamen peeking through, and then we're going to hint at the idea of lily pads. So I made the first one kind of larger, and then I just kind of put a little swish of green, some stems and reeds, and added a little bit of dark green. It's very doodly, very messy. And then again, we'll come in with that blue, and we're just adding horizontal lines to make the journal page look like it is the surface of the water. So you don't need to overdo it with the blue. Just go nice and light, adding thick lines and thin ones. And if you want to add more blue, come in with a lighter blue, and I think that'll work well to give that water look. You can add shading with either brown or a darker pink. Just a tiny little bit of shading will make those really pop. And that is my Lotus illustration all done. I'm going to highlight my days of the week kind of lower on the word, and then I can use a fine liner to finish this weekly layout by placing the dates for the week, the first week of the month. Oh, I lied. That layout is not done. I wanted to add a shadow to my Feb. So I'm using a small fine liner to just add a line on the top and right-hand side of each letter. Simple as that. Okay, guys, that is my layout all done. I really like this cutesy Dutch door with the top of the page cut away instead of the right-hand side. We have our affirmations and goals underneath. Then I've got a 2-page calendar spread. I have my watercolor self-care page. Remember, if you want 5 fun ideas for incorporating watercolor paints into your journal, be sure to check out that video. I've linked it in the video description. And then I have my weekly layout with my Lotus doodles across the top. I really like this spread. It gives me a lot of space for to-do lists, and that's really what I use my weekly layouts for. Patrons of the channel, be sure to head over to Patreon because you can download and print my February cover page. That's available for you, so go grab it. And remember, friends, you can help support this channel simply by clicking the subscribe button, so please do that and you won't miss our 2 videos a week. Thanks so much for watching today's video. Oh, what's that? You like my shirt? Well, I finally have my own designs, my own artwork on t-shirts, and there's lots more good stuff coming as well. If you want to shop my new merch, you can click the link in the video description, or if you're watching on YouTube today, just check the merch shelf right below this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon with a new tutorial.